Do you like sardines, Robert?
Depends on the flavor. Sometimes they put the wrong flavor in it, but just plain, yes, I do.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess we're looking for what is this called? A metaphor? A
Simile,
metaphor?
metaphor, yeah, I guess it's a metaphor.
Yeah, so a metaphor for something called densification, which is literally, I guess the way I'd put it is pack as many people in as you can into a certain area because that's where the future is going. On this episode of Real Estate Chat with
John Perez.
and Robert Eid, we're going to be talking about why Robert, that's a good thing, or as you said, what bad news is good news? Is that what it is?
Well, many times we found that to be true, yes.
All right, well, let's look at this article and see if it's bad news or good news. It's from Renix.ca, Real Estate News Exchange. Urban regeneration strategies, why densification matters. We'll include the link of this in the show description, but essentially, there's a bunch of talk in this about densification and reasons for it. Amongst those, there's been transformations. I believe we've covered this in previous episode, but for example, some office buildings are now becoming livable spaces. In fact, some of them are being purely office to residential conversions.
Transform,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, and urban planning, the ideal, I guess, metropia utopia, that city where you can work, live, eat, sleep, walk, bike, no need for cars, self-contained, all-inclusive, everything's there, no need to travel, no need to drive. And some people, like if you're a real estate chatter in downtown Toronto or New York City or any major city, I don't know where you're watching this, Japan, Tokyo, like there's a lot of cities where like Tokyo is a very good Japan as a whole when it comes to its transport systems, and that's why you've got tons of cities throughout Japan that are dense because you've got everything there, and the travel is easy. Now there's point forms here of different social values, expanding the housing supply with strategic, well-planned densification, affordability, stability, build to rent, physical, mental well-being, walking and cycle. So going back into an active livelihood, public transit houses, like housing near public transit, local business. You remember what it's like to walk down the street and support a local business, right? Capital, reinforcing civic pride, all of these things that our real estate chat viewers who voraciously like reading articles can read. But Robert, you mentioned a movie that sort of this idea reminds you of. What is that movie and what's the premise behind it?
Okay, well, I was reading this article because it starts out why densification matters. So it's a justification. And I started reading, and then the 15-minute cities came up, and then everything switched over from then on to sort of a tree hugger green, 15-minute cities, this urban planners model that they're following, where everybody's going to be on a node, on a transit, so that you can go out to, north of Barrie, but you'll be on a node and you'll get on the train, you'll come into work. All based around the premise that the world is suffering the greenhouse effect, that somehow some pollutant that's man-made is causing this terrible upset. Now, yes, I saw a movie a long time ago, and then I watched it again. Soylent Green. Now, Soylent Green is the food stuff. There's Soylent Red. Anyway, Charlton Heston is in this movie. He's the hero, and it's the last movie that Edward G. Robinson was in. And they're buddies, and they're talking. And in this movie, when they're first talking, the term greenhouse effect is mentioned the first time that I can remember. And without getting too much into the movie, because the movie's great, and I went to see it about the death house that Edward G. Robinson goes to, is since 1973, everybody's been getting more and more and more upset and obsessed with sustainability, and how they're going to achieve it is through curtailing the amount of carbon dioxide, as if it was the most evil pollutant that ever existed. And what if, just like our discussion about affordability, what if the carbon dioxide is not the bad thing? It's the wrong direction. So all this taxes that was put on fuel and on cars, and cars are more efficient, they're streamlined, using less is good because it costs less. But the taxes on it and the way they've turned everything upside down to stop the production of this pollutant. It's not a pollutant. It's a naturally occurring element, carbon dioxide. What if we discover in about 10 years that they were going in the wrong path? How can they undo all of these things? We're all living like sardines, whether being spread out like we're comfortable. Now, the other thing is that I saw a posting on Facebook. Someone was in an airplane and took a shot. Somehow they got a plane to go up Yonge Street, and they shot out where there's a CN Tower there, but there's no Sky Dome, there's no condos. So can you imagine what the view today is with all those condos there and before? So if you can project that up Yonge Street, up Bayview, up Ellesmere, up every single street, it won't be condos, 400 suiters. There'll be 36, 59 suiters on every single street. And it'll be a different town. It'll be a different town. So, or real estate people, densification means buy land. They're not making any more. Buy it on thoroughfares, buying in the path of change. And don't worry about this swoon we're going to see right now, because it's going to recover. So that's a long way from the beginning of densification. And it's taken entirely the different tack. But mark my words, just like affordability cannot be addressed except for talking about price and interest rate and income, carbon dioxide's got nothing to do with it.
Well, Robert, you've seen, I mean, that's a whole other discussion as well. And I'm sure some of our Real Estate Chat viewers who have liked and subscribed this episode will give their opinions on that.
For sure.
I can't say I know enough about it, to be honest, to be able to comment. But here's one thing that I will ask from you, Robert, is you've seen decades of real estate development. So you've seen when Toronto was less dense than it is now, where there were less housing units and whatnot. You've also seen, I'm sure, major cities around the world continue to densify. Canada being one of the largest land masses, we've talked in the past, not so popular episodes, about the green space, the green, what do you call that thing again?
Greenbelt.
Greenbelt. So I even forgot about the name of it. Greenbelt restricting where things are being built, whereas Canada has so much land. I mean, how much time do we have before we even see this as a thing? Because when you watch dystopian or utopian movies about the future, like, you just see flying cars and, you know, all sorts of things. Mind you, I don't know if they thought about carbon dioxide in those movies, and on some of them, in yours they did. But how much time really do we have before this becomes an issue, or before we start to see the effects of this? But the most important question for our Real Estate Chat viewers who are either investors or looking to buy real estate at some point in the future is, how will density affect them in terms of maybe what they pay for a place or their ability to even get a chance at buying something?
Well, it's never changed since the beginning of time. It's what is the utility of the land? Now they're changing the rules so that you can put 4 units on a lot that used to be just 1 unit with an illegal one in the basement. So the value of the land is based on the amount of revenue that it can produce, and the revenue it can produce times the amount that is demanded for you to pay to borrow the money or as an investment dictates the price, return on investment. You can buy something risky or complicated, or pay off today or pay off maybe in the future. The risk element changes the rate that's demanded. So we're going to find out that sprawl to contain the expenditure of gas is the wrong thing. The green belt, apart from preserving nature, is idiocy. And we're all going down the wrong path. We don't have to feel guilty about consuming a natural resource that we have unlimited quantity of. We have 150 years of proven, and they've stopped looking for it 10 years ago. We're going on the wrong path backwards. So buy the best stuff you can on the busiest street right now, and then when they change their mind, you can sell it, and you can move to Halibut and retire with waterfront, and the grandkids can come and visit you on your boat.
Same message that we've been saying on this episode, on these episodes of Real Estate. So, Real Estate Chat viewers, hopefully this sparks up some sort of conversations about what you see, about what your thoughts on densification, urbanation, carbon dioxide, all sorts of things covered in this particular episode.
Real estate is everything combined.
That's right. And it's also buy, hold, and look at today where the opportunities lie, and you look after your interests, your family's interests, your loved ones' interests, and build wealth for generations to come. Thanks for watching this episode of Real Estate Chat. Take care and bye for now.
Enjoy your weekend.